Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the show that once again is getting to continue and talk Astros baseball. Scott, welcome back. Spring training. Hope is in the air. Things are feeling good. Questions are arising. It's a fun time of year.
Hey, and we're better than Venezuela for a day.
That was kind of exciting to see, but I mean,
Yeah, so I did have an opening question, obviously not sports related. I know that you have seen Office Space before.
I have.
So I know in Office Space, they talked about, you can wear Hawaiian shirts on Fridays. So now you can wear Hawaiian shirts. And I'm sure Haley has told you the stories. We always have spirit weeks in schools. And I think schools kind of do things differently than most. Like today was like couch potato day, which just meant like I'm rolling out in my sweats. That's how I'm doing that. Unfortunately, tomorrow is like a Go Texan day, which I don't have any cowboy wear. But
we're like Houston Texans stuff. Go Texans.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a specifically cowboy. So okay, whatever. But do you for your office? Do they have any like, hey, y'all can dress in this today?
So I'm actually very fortunate. You can wear whatever you want to my current office. Like people wear jeans, whatever. I'm not comfortable in jeans. I if you told me, you can wear jeans on Friday, like I'm still gonna wear like golf pants because that's what I'm most comfortable in. It kind of is what it is there. I don't know, Scott. Like I've never really been at a place that. I guess one of my workplaces where I was a sales in the construction world, like you could wear jeans on Friday, and I was like I'm always sweating. I'm hotter in jeans than I am in a nice golf pant.
Yeah, I can. Again, what gets to me is that they always give away jeans passes as like this reward, and it's gotten to the point where if you want to wear jeans, you just show up in jeans. I think the pandemic kind of just destroyed that whole thing. And so, like when I started teaching, Tim, you had to wear a shirt and tie until Friday. Those days have been a long time since them days.
For sure. Like I remember I had a few male teachers, right? And I will say it's not just in the teaching industry, like even so the restaurant world too, like the standards for men and women dress wise are completely different, right? Like every male teacher I had was a shirt and tie, Monday to Thursday, and maybe a jeans and a school t-shirt on Friday, right? Like Clear Lake High School t-shirt or Clear Lake Intermediate or whatever it was. Like women, it was always kind of more laid back, obviously. And then like even the restaurant industry, right? I was a host, and I had to wear a shirt and a tie, all the fixins, as a host, and the girls wore a black polo Ralph Lauren fucking t-shirt, Scott, but they looked good in it. So what can I say?
There's one woman I have to salute because back in those days when we had to wear ties, For women, they had to wear pantyhose.
Mm.
So one woman used it as a scrunchie. And I was like, I salute you. It's like, well, I'm wearing pantyhose. I've got pantyhose on. You can't,
That's ballsy.
yeah, it is. It is. Little
Oh
extra.
my goodness. Speaking of ballsy, Scott, I have to say, I think maybe the Astros' approach to ramping up their pitchers this spring training, it can definitely be described as ballsy. Not a lot of innings so far, as you and I have discussed off air for this Astros pitching staff. One appearance for Christian Javier, one appearance for CJ McCullers, one appearance, I believe, for Hunter Brown. Where are the innings, Scott? And when are they going to come?
Well, and I think the big problem is I was planning out my article for pitchers on crawfish. Are you going to consider AJ Bluebaugh a starter?
I don't know.
He went
You might have to at this
he
point.
went 2 2/3. So I mean so if you count him as a starter, I count 10 guys who are viable starters right now. And so you have to start, and I'm not even counting Yululo, who I think has really knocked himself out of the running because I don't think he's pitched well yet.
I think he's
So
ready.
so 10 guys. So, count them off with me, right? Hunter Brown's your number one. We think Amai's your number two. Burrow's your number three. Javier's your number four. Weiss, number five.
Weiss, McCullers.
So six. And then you've got Arrighetti. You've got Gordon. You've got Bluebaugh. And you've got Costanza.
I mean, I think at this point, you have to start also looking at who can help me in other areas, or who can help this bullpen maybe be solidified a little bit more. A guy like Colton Gordon could maybe be useful as a guy you stash in the pen to get out lefties, to be just a different guy to come in for an inning and get some outs, knowing, hey, if I have to use him for 2 or 3 innings, it's okay. He's stretched out. If I have to use him for a spot start, it's okay. I like him as a guy who could work in different ways out of that pen. Blue Ball to me is an interesting one from a development perspective. Is this a guy that you see long term as a future 2, 3, 4 guy in your rotation? And are you willing to trade that for a now situation?
Yeah, I'm. My problem is, my bigger question with guys like him and with guys like Gordon and Alexander is I don't think they're one of the top 6 guys. So question is, are they worth more to you getting consistent starts every 5 days down in Sugarland and being ready the first time you have an arm injury, which because we know we're going to have one? Or are you better, putting them in the pen? That's an open question. Of course, we have Hader, who's going to be down to start the season. Most likely, we've got De Los Santos, who's going to be down to start the season. So, where, the question is, Tim, where are those guys that are not one of your top 6 starters? Are they more useful in your pen, or are they more useful stretched out in AAA, getting starts and being ready if somebody gets hurt?
And that's what I'm saying, Scott. I think you have to go through and ask those questions internally, because there's no direct answer for number 7 through 10, right? Like, I think a guy like Blue Ball, we have to consider his development. We have to consider a lot of those things. Maybe I send him down to AAA to keep him on track. A guy like Colton Gordon, hey, I think he can get outs and get lefties out and be a guy that changes arm angle and changes things up for an inning out of the pen. Let's keep him there. Hey, Jason Alexander, I don't think he's a good bullpen piece. Let's bring him down to AAA and just make sure he stays stretched out just in case. I think you have to start going down the line and asking those questions. But the real question is like, those guys have to go get their innings elsewhere right now. Lance McCullers, as you mentioned to me, has thrown 8 pitches. There are decent looking 8 pitches, but that's 8 fucking pitches he's thrown so far in the game. Hunter Brown, I'm not worried about him as much. I haven't seen a lot of him. Burrows looks fantastic. I think he's been a great pickup. But Christian Javier, not a lot. In what I've seen wasn't impressive. But again, it's early in spring. But here we are. You keep saying it's early in spring. It's early in spring. Pitchers and catchers have been there for a while. We've been playing games for almost a week and a half now. Like the innings just are being questionably divided up here early on in the spring.
Well, and the big question is that these guys are throwing other than the games that they're throwing in. Like some of them are pitching batting practice and things like that. So how much do we even factor that in terms of building up your workload? I mean, does it have to be against live hitters that are on another team? Or, can a guy throw like a so-called simulated game and get their work in that way?
I think it's a combination of both, but you can start building up, but there's nothing like pressure pitches, right? Like there's always that thing that like color analysts and guys talk about it in the game. It's like, he hasn't thrown a lot of pitches under stress, or there hasn't been a lot of stressful moments for him. That doesn't really happen in a simulated game. There's not really any stress of the moment. And you start to feel that at least in a spring game. Okay, so runners on second and third, one out. I really have to buckle down here. I really got to find something. And so it's not just arm conditioning; it's mental conditioning. And for guys like Lance, it's hey, I had a whole off season of being able to not necessarily rehab, but now I can focus on next year and being able to show his mind that he can trust his body to get the job done. He was hitting 94
What
on the
kills
gun the other day.
what kills me is like, why didn't you send him out for a second inning with only 8 pitches? I don't, I mean, I sent this to you in text, but it kind of reminded me of Ricky Vaughn from Major League Two, where he throws like 3 warm-up pitches to Jake Taylor. Oh, I'm good. Yeah, all right, I feel good. I'm ready. It's like, no. What about the fastball? Oh, the Terminator. It'll be there. It'll be ready.
Don't worry. Don't worry about the Terminator. What did we say? It was the Terminator, the Eliminator, the Decimator, and the
I'm I'm
Retirer
calling
or something
I'm
like that.
calling it the smoker, Tim, because it's going to drive fans to smoke. You're gonna get Lance and Craig Krimble were like, I need like 2 or 3 cigarettes in my mouth, kind of pictures.
I'm glad the Craig Kimbrell experience is over, but the Lance McCullers one, I have interesting hopes for him because at his best, we know he's a bulldog of a pitcher who can give you a 3.5 ERA, 170, 180 innings. I think that day is gone. Do I have hopes that maybe Lance, at least when healthy, can be a savvy enough pitcher to understand how to throw with what he has? That's what I want to see, Scott. Because at the end of the day, he still has a good two-seam fastball. And if he could maybe find a way to be more of a contact ground ball pitcher and eat some innings, that's at least valuable.
Yeah, we need to see more of it. I mean, to me, the 8 pitch inning is like a revelation. I don't think he's ever had an 8 pitch inning in his entire career.
But
Um,
again, that's the problem. It's
but
not just him. We've
yeah,
seen one Christian Javier start. We've
one of
seen
my
one Amai start.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to assume they're getting some work in, but then you've got those 10 starters. So my question is, particularly with Amai and Javier, I think with those two, do you think about keeping them down there an extra week or two, when spring breaks, to give them like extended, you know, because the worst to me, the nightmare scenario is, oh, we're going to rush Amai, blow out an arm, and oh shit, season's over, right?
I don't think that's going to be the case. I trust that they think that what they're doing is the best path to get them ready, right? Um I think there's a lot of probably conditioning thoughts, or let's find a way to keep these guys healthy. We've got a new training staff in there. We're going to do things differently this year. We're going to really, I mean, we have, it's not just the pitching staff. How much Correa have you seen? How much
Very,
Altuve have you
well,
seen?
very, and now Pena's got a broken finger. I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean, they said that but Dana Brown said, and of course we can trust the Astros on this. He said we're not going to say what it is. He said he's not. We're not going to comment on what it is yet until he gets a better imaging back tomorrow. That was like 30 minutes before the show. Even though it's already out everywhere on what is wrong, Dana Brown's come out and said we're not going to talk. We don't really know what the injury is, and we'll get some better imaging tomorrow. So,
it'd be hilarious
and
if they just kind of
mhm.
showed a bottle of Pepto Bismol and just kind of took it away. Just kind of, we're not saying what it is, but
He's got like a brace in one hand, a cast. It's like a selection of things. He's like, one's like just Tylenol, one's a bag of ice, and one's like extreme painkillers. He's like, all I'm saying is we're gonna use maybe one, maybe some, maybe all of these things, but we will say it was a finger.
they really wasted their opportunity with State Farm by having Patrick Mahomes in that commercial. It should have been like just like the Astros entire locker room. We've got it. We've got our new trainer, Megan Trainer.
Do you remember? Okay, so in Major League, they're like, we're a Major League Baseball team, and nobody knows, right? Like it could have been like that. Like everybody in the waiting room is the Astros, and they're like, we're a Major League Baseball team, but nobody recognizes us because we're all hurt.
Having
Not
Jim
when you
Crane,
have
I mean,
not when you have Aflac.
having Jim Crane walk in the dugout and sitting there and go like, "What are they? A bunch of pansies?" Have the entire team flip him off.
Or you could just have an Aflac commercial. Like if I was Aflac, here's what I would do. I would have a um, slew of commercials made, and it would be the Duck, you know, reenacting Lance McCullers like trying to get back healthy the whole time, right? Like all the different things and all the different setbacks, but like at least the family's getting paid, right? Like at least my family's getting
yeah.
paid this whole time as I can't get back to work. All
So
right, Scott.
So, in all seriousness, though, I think the other situation that is kind of is worth monitoring are these young outfielders that have not gotten off to a good start in camp. You mentioned guys we haven't seen a lot of. I haven't seen a lot of Jake Myers. Seen a very little bit of Jordan. I guess I'm not too worried about that. But do you have any sense of that? That trio of Cam Smith, Zach Cole, and Joey Loperfido, what's going to shake out there based on what you've seen?
It's scary. I think Cam Smith of the three has maybe looked the best, hit the ball the hardest from what I've seen when I've watched games. You don't get to watch all the games; you look at a box scores. Um, but it is a little nerve wracking knowing that outside of Jake Myers, who had one of the fucking softest 300 seasons, in the last 10 years, right? Like hits 300 and has a less than 750 OPS.
Very
Not
Luis
exactly
Arise,
like, woo.
very Luis Arise esque.
I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, it was fine, right? And at least Jake's going to play great defense. And if that's my ninth hitter on the lineup is a guy who can do that, okay, like yeah, I'll sign up for that. But then you look like, okay, who's playing left field? If it's your Don and Paredes is DHing, okay, awesome, sounds good. If it's Joey fucking Loperfido and Jordan is DHing and Isaac Paredes is sitting on the bench and these guys are playing over him, now we have a problem from at least a resource allocation standpoint, Scott. Like your job as a manager is to find a way to get your best nine players on the field. And to me, the fact that we haven't seen one game with Isaac Paredes in left field is a fucking travesty. We have literally one of the easiest home fields to play left field in in Major League Baseball.
Have
You
we
can
even
literally learn it in a fucking week. Jose Altuve did it, and it didn't look great, but somehow the metrics, Scott, as you mentioned, were literally record setting. So, I mean,
yes, they were. But have we seen him even play in the field anywhere?
no, I think he DH'd the other day. He had a
That
nice day, he homered.
I mean, but that's the thing, right? We need to know, can he play a passable first base? Are you thinking about him at second at any point? What are we doing here? I
And and from the conversation I heard the other day I mean, actually today, Ken Rosenthal, when he was at camp, he said that, the Astros are pretty much in the mindset that Christian Walker's going to have a turnaround year, right? Like he's smoking the baseball. He homered and got around at 101-mile-an-hour fastball in a game the other day. Like they're totally in the mindset that Christian Walker is an everyday first baseman who's going to have a good year. So I don't feel like he's going to get a lot of at bats at first base, Scott.
No, and if if they're confident in Walker, that's great. Um, I just yeah, to me, I don't even know if they, maybe this was like one of those opportunities where Spada and Dana Brown were, discussing Game of Thrones. Maybe they could have talked about, Paredes left. Maybe that could have come up in conversation. I don't know.
Oh my God. Joe, how many times have I fucking told you, man? Our bro time is a work-free zone, okay? I understand that we have an infield problem, okay? But that's not a bro time problem. That's a 9 to 5 problem. I told Jim when I took this job that my me time is very important. I leave my work phone on my desk when I leave this office, okay? Do I miss trade opportunities? Sure, but I take advantage of my me time. That is how I stay sane.
All right. I told you, Joe. I told 3 weeks ago, I said, we're not done. And I'm standing by it. We're not done. We're going to make a trade sometime this year. I guarantee it.
I mean, I think them and the Red Sox are literally just like there's like a 5 urinal bathroom, and they both started at like the furthest urinal, and then like Dana Brown moved a urinal in, and then the Red Sox GM moved a urinal in, and now like Dana Brown's moved like one more urinal in, and now the Red Sox GM moved in as well. Now they're like peeing in the same urinal, and they're just like trying to figure it all out. But like they just keep like getting closer to this creepy situation, but no one can figure out how to get it done.
Yeah, you get pee all over each other. Basically, is where you're at. All right, Tim. One switching gears here.
Well, I mean, we're talking about trades, Scott. We're talking
Yeah,
about
well,
trades. I think there's only one way to go, and
I
that
want.
is hang on. I gotta tell you what I got here because I
Okay.
think I came up with a banger of a title. My boy Nicky C making moves. What do we think about that? Nicky C, Nick Casario coming in hot, trading away your starting right tackle, trading away Juice Scruggs, trading away a fourth and a seventh, and bringing back David Montgomery, Scott.
So basically, if you want to boil it down, folks, you're trading your starting right tackle and a guy that was one of your 53, and a fourth rounder for, I mean, because you get a fifth rounder back, and I think it's an early fifth. So it's basically 2 linemen and a seventh for a running back. I don't know. How do you feel, when you break it down like that?
I mean, I think when you take it on the face value of just the David Montgomery deal, I think that's a great deal. I think that was a great price to pay. I'll pay a fourth and a seventh, plus I was going to cut Juice Scruggs anyway, right? So done. I think the other deal of Tyus Howard, that one I think we either could have gotten more, or I don't understand why you don't just let him play out. I understand maybe you were not going to sign him next year to an extension, or you're not going to keep him after this season, but I have to think that he was more valuable on the team than a fifth round draft pick would be in this season. Especially when you look at our draft history, we're not exactly, the Eagles when it comes to putting together continually great draft classes. We've got a lot of misses, so we're not exactly the team to load up on draft capital. We're like, woo, here we go. Let's go to work, baby.
And to put a finer bow on that, your cap savings on Howard is $4.5 million. I mean, your cash savings is quite substantial. It's like 18 million, but your cap savings 4.5. Scruggs is about $1.5 million. Montgomery's making 6. So what's 4.5 plus 1.5, Tom?
6.
Okay, so you break even money. So you're not in any better financial situation. I guess you could sit there and say, would you say your running back room is now done?
No, I'd still draft a back. I think because you only have 2. They refuse to use British Brooks as
or
what
Jawar Jordan.
Right. Jawar, I guess maybe got some run last year. He could get an opportunity this year. But British Brooks to me is like a branded like if I'm the Texans, I'm gonna look at teams that had like success running the ball. It's not a stable, it's a stable of guys. When I look at the Giants, they had 3 guys, right? They had, Bradshaw, they had Jacobs, and I can't remember the third one that they had as well, but everybody had a task to do. You need a 3rd and 1. Here comes Brandon Jacobs. Good fucking luck. Get the downs going with Bradshaw. They had opportunities to do it all. So I still think we're a bruiser short, in my opinion. I don't know. I think Montgomery can be a guy who picks up short yardage, but to me, he's an all-around guy, right? He does great with the ball in his hands in open space. He's good catching the football. He's good up the middle, and we love to pound the fucking rock up the middle, so he'll be happy about that. But I still think we do need what British Brooks can do from what I've seen, but we just refuse to use him that way. So I don't know if we're ever going to get a guy like that.
Yeah. So what I see is basically what Montgomery's done in Detroit, because he had Jahmyr Gibbs, is he's been kind of like a 200 carry a year back, which, if you parcel that out, that's like maybe 12 attempts a game. You think Woody Marks could do that?
9.6 last year.
9.6 last year. Obviously, that's why he requested a trade. But I think he's probably between 10 to 15 carries a game. And I think Woody Marks is about the same. And I think both of them are 3 down backs. And so what I like the idea of, okay, Montgomery, you get the first 2 series. Then Woody, you get series 3 and 4. And then, and then in the second half, you sit there and, okay, which of these guys is hotter? And, we'll ride that guy through the end of the game. I'm with you on British Brooks. And to me, I would not, with all the needs that this team has, I would rather him be the 3rd back or Jawar Jordan be the 3rd back than go and spend another draft pick on a rookie when you've got to get at least 2 linemen, if not 3. You probably need a corner and a safety. Maybe defensive tackle, maybe tight end. See, now I've already added up 7 spots. You just don't have, you don't have the capital right now.
I mean, free agency is going to be a part of it as well. I do think the Texans probably have an early inkling of a deal coming, maybe at guard.
Well, they got to cut money because they're still $9 million over.
I'm sure they'll find a way to move some money around. They always do.
They'll cut Mixon. I mean, that'll practically get you there. But you're going to need, probably Nico gets re-upped. Maybe do you extend Stingley, like give him some voidable years? Do you do the same with Hunter? I mean, you could probably finagle yourself $10 to $20 million, but
probably do the Will Anderson deal now and find a way to free up money in doing so.
Yeah, to me, I don't see them getting anything near more than $25 million to spend. So you can maybe get 1 really good lineman, and then you're pretty much done. Unless you want to do what, the Caserio, I'm going to pick up 3 or 4 guys off the scrap heap, kind of see, if any.
And that's what I hope we don't do, right? Like, we can't go to this scattershot approach and go get Greg fucking Robinson, go get random nobodies
Just make up
and
some
hope one of
names.
them. Yeah, like we wasted like $10 million last year on guys we just ended up cutting. So I do think this was a nice move, but I do feel like the line is really exposed. Like the line got better this year. And I think a big part of it was because Titus Howard was willing to move from tackle to guard to do what you needed him to do. So not only do you lose a good lineman, you lose a versatile lineman who was a Pro Bowl level tackle and a good guard at the end of the day. I don't think he was the best guard in the world, but I do think he played a passable left guard. And now you've lost that versatility. And you're not going to tell me, well, we've got Eric Fisher playing right tackle. I'm not going to be excited.
Blake Fisher. Yeah, Blake Fisher.
Blake Fisher. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to start my own conspiracy theory, Tim. I think the Texans went to Howard and said, "We want you to move to center." And he's like, "No." Okay, we got to get you out of town then. Sorry.
Tyus, I know you've played right tackle your whole life and we've moved you to guard, but once you've played guard, you can basically play center. What do you say? I've got Jason Kelsey on the other line. He's willing to talk you through the finer points of this thing. What do you say? No, get me out of town. I mean, they said they weren't going to extend him. I get it.
Well,
just to me,
he's average. I mean, but average on this line looked really, really good. He reminds me, gosh, who was that pitcher that we had come up? It was like about 2011, 2012. He was like the only good prospect in the system, and we brought him up, and he ended up sucking because, everybody thought, oh man, this guy's awesome. It's like, no, really, he's like a B-level prospect. He just didn't have anything else,
He ended up going to the Rockies. And was like decent with them for a little bit. I know who you're talking about.
I think his last year was at the Royals, and he went like something like 2-14 or 15 or something like that. It was really pretty nasty. But I think Howard is the same. He's versatile, which is nice. But if you look at, I know not everybody likes PFF, but if you look at his PFF grades, they were average. And to me, you shouldn't be in the business of paying average guys top 10 position money. That's just not the business you should be in. And that's what the Browns are paying them. Of course, because they're the Browns. The Browns do what the Browns do.
And to me, that's why it's surprising that we only got a fifth. If I'm being honest with you, I am a little shocked that it wasn't a third.
You got to talk them. You got to talk them into that shit. You got to sit there and like show some video of some pancake blocks. I mean, he had to have had at least 3 pancake blocks this year, in 17 games.
Something like that.
Yeah. Just show him on a continuous.
Showing from different camera angles and all this stuff. And
isn't that the same play? No. It's a totally different play.
No, why is he playing left tackle on this one? It looks like you guys just flipped the image. There's an injury. There's an injury on this one. Why did you guys have a left-handed quarterback? There was a couple snaps.
See how versatile he is? He can play right, left tackle. He can play everywhere on the line.
This is a white guy. You just put a picture of a white man playing center. I don't understand. That's him. Just shh. Let it wash over you. Let it wash.
All right, Tim.
Let's talk a little Rockets basketball, Scott, because I feel like I'm gonna eat a little crow. You're gonna eat a little crow, and we're gonna have a segment. And it's is Reed Sheppard being underplayed? Is Reed Sheppard being underutilized? Scott, when you look at the numbers when Reed Sheppard starts, they're outscoring teams. Reed puts up like 17 points a game. Again, we don't have a true point guard, but at this point, he does give us maybe the best opportunity offensively to win.
I was going to talk him up later. But, since you brought him up, I have to wonder. So remember when, 2023, let me take you back to a kindler, gentler time with Dusty Baker as your manager. And Chas McCormick and Yainer Diaz are smashing and can't seem to get on the field. So what would the Dusty Baker pushback to that be?
Uh, they're just not ready. They're gonna thank me one day for how I've handled the situation.
There you go. The reason they smashed is because I limited their exposure. I wonder if Udoka is going to come out with kind of similar comments. The reason why Reed Sheppard has grown so much is because the tough love. I didn't give him all those minutes. He had to earn those sons of bitches, and I'm still not going to give it to him. When all the guys are healthy, he's still going to go back to the bench. He's going to have to earn that shit, and that's going to make him tougher. It's going to make him a man.
It's interesting, Scott, because again, we don't have a true point guard, and I think Reed's come a long way throughout the season and how he's handled the basketball and how he's handled himself. Again, I'm the first to admit you and I were both very hard on Reed Sheppard um, early on in this season with the jokes of we've never seen him make a three in real life and all the other things that we said. But at the end of the day, Reed's playing great basketball, and he's probably not playing enough basketball because
No,
this is a team. This is a team that just doesn't have its identity. Would it be fair to say that this team doesn't know what it is offensively?
yeah. Did you see his stat line the last game?
It's something that's only been done like 7 times in the history of the NBA.
So, he had the 20 points, he had the 10 assists, he had 6 steals and 2 blocks. How does Reed Sheppard get 2 blocks?
I think Akeem was one of the ones who did it. I think Jordan was one of the ones who did it. I mean, it was elite company. And
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's elite, but this is a guy who's a playmaker. And if you got to force him into a point guard role, at least for now, you got to get him on the court.
well, problem is when you and this is I think the bigger thing is when you look at the spacing on the floor, he's a guy that if you look at a lot of his threes take place about 3 feet behind the three-point line. So we're talking, and I hate to bring up probably the greatest shooter that's ever lived, but that's kind of Steph Curry kind of territory right there. And the thing is that even when he's not on for that night, you have to honor it. And if you're creating that much space, if you're Reed Sheppard and they're taking that shot away from you, somebody's coming out to guard you, that far off the basket. Somebody else is open on the court. And my problem is when I like Tari Eason. I mean, I like his hustle, but ever since the early part of the season when he was rolling, he really has not had a good couple of months. And so, I mean, if your decision is we want Tari in there rather than Reed Sheppard, I just don't see it at this point.
I think Tari is a better bench player, Scott. I think when Tari comes in off the bench, he brings energy. And I think these games at times are slow to start because there's so much of kind of just trying to figure out the chess match of what's it going to be tonight. Who's going to be the person tonight? Is it going to be a Sengun night? Is it going to be a KD night? Is it going to be an Amen night? Versus like if you have a guy, again, you mentioned Steph Curry. Steph doesn't fucking pull that shit, right? Like Steph's gonna try and get rolling early. Let me feel myself. Let me find myself. Oh, you got to come respect this. All right, now I'm gonna drive and dish. Now I'm gonna get everybody else going. But by finding that shot early and finding your rhythm, as you said, the defense has to stretch. Defense has to respect. Now you can. Now you can. Oh, I've got Kevin Durant. You want to come double me? Let's go. Like we should literally be looking at tape of that Warriors team of how Curry and Durant played together because that team won a championship. And again, I'm not saying that he is Steph Curry, but I am saying that you can run a similar style of offense. You can look at what worked. You've got a guy in Sengun who can do a lot of different things. And if he was just a little bit more willing to shoot the three, I think it would be a very dangerous scenario. But he doesn't commit to a play style. As an offense from Ime, we don't have a set. This is what we're going to do tonight. We're not going to impose our will. It's kind of like back in the day with Bill O'Brien. Oh, we're going to be a game plan offense, and we're going to get like at least with Gary Kubiak, you knew we were going to fucking zone read it and run play action off of it, and we imposed our will on guys. Could some people figure it out? Sure. But at the end of the day, when he had good enough athletes with Peyton Manning and Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, you couldn't stop it.
Well, my question is, they asked this on the radio, so I'll throw this your way. Bringing back the Warriors, since we brought up Steph Curry, is Ime Udoka Mark Jackson, or is he Steve Kerr?
He might be a Mark Jackson, quite frankly.
Because Mark Jackson, I mean, he had a good record. He got the team into like the second round of the playoffs. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten any run since then.
He made a pretty big stink on the way out. I think it hurt him.
But I would have thought he would have gotten in something by now. I mean, people keep giving Doc Rivers jobs, so I mean,
yeah.
So what the hell?
I mean, I think Mark Jackson's a great analogy there. Kind of to me, he's in that Jeff Fisher world of like he gets you to a certain level but can't take you over the top. Mark Jackson gets you to a certain level, but maybe he's not the schemer that we need to take this roster to the next level. Because Phil Jackson will come in and not only massage the egos of everybody around, like he had a scheme. His triangle offense was designed to get his guys open looks and be an offensive system where Kobe and Shaq could be a two-man game and dominate. What is Ime's offensive scheme? Like truly, we're not a pick and roll team. We're not a high post isolation team. We're going to try and drive and dish. We're going to out athlete you.
We're not.
And that's AAU ball.
Yeah, and what I was going to say though, Tim, is that if you gave Steve Kerr a lottery team, he probably doesn't do well. He probably needs those veterans that know how to do things in order to get to where So I think every coach has his place. The Mark Jackson is the one that developed them into something. Now I don't know. You don't go this far back. But Doug Collins was the coach in Chicago before Phil Jackson got there. And he brought them into becoming a playoff team. And then Phil Jackson finished it off. So I don't think, and Phil Jackson showed this in New York, you can't just bring in Phil Jackson and have average to below average talent and all of a sudden be good. Phil Jackson needed the best basketball players in the world to win. Now, give it to him. He won 9 titles. So, he won. And so what I think is Ime might be one of those coaches that's really good at getting young talent and building them up. He just might be not the guy that's going to finish the job.
And I kind of tend to agree with you. When you look at those guys who are brilliant offensive minds or brilliant tacticians in their fields, right? The Bill Walshes of the world, the Steve Kerrs of the world, the Phil Jacksons, they all had elite talent. Bill Walsh had Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. We've talked about, Phil Jackson had Kobe and Shaq and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, and Steve Kerr has had, Klay Thompson and Curry and Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala and Andrew Bogut and just elite talent all the way around. So it's kind of hard to be a great X's and O's guys if you don't have the right people to go execute those plays that you call, right? Like a beautifully drawn up play means shit if the guy misses a wide open 3-point look. No one's going to sit there and go like, oh my God, what a great play. It's a shame he missed it. It's just going to be drawn up as another miss and move on. You draw up a great, amazing play and it's a game-winning shot and he makes it. Now everybody talks about how much of a genius you are. What a great tactician. How did you get him such an open look and all that other stuff. So, I think there still is room to go. Now, if you came to me and said, I'm going to hire an offensive coordinator this offseason for the Rockets, right? We're going to go get a young, innovative offensive mind as our assistant coach the same way that, Van Gundy had Thibodeau, like you and I have talked about. I might be able to be on board with that if Ime is willing to accept that. If we go into the playoffs again and get bounced and we have all this talent that we have, I got to look at things a little differently, Scott, because the X's and O's just don't look good to me. It looks too much like fucking open gym ball at 24-hour fitness. Like it literally just there is no running the baseline trying to get a corner three. There is no, high pick and roll. There is no pick and pop game. There's nothing. It is just we're gonna out athlete the other team as often as we can.
So I'm going to give you a couple of names here, Tim. You mentioned one of these names. So Pablo Paggioni.
He was fun.
You mentioned Sam Cassell. I don't know if Sam Cassell is on the brilliant tactician. I thought that Sam Cassell should probably be a head coach at some point, but I'll throw you another name. How would you feel about Pringles coming back to Houston?
Talking about D'Antoni?
Yeah. It's called him Pringles because he looks like the Pringles guy on the can.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I'd rather get what if you told me we got Steve Nash? Right?
Yeah.
Give me someone who's run his system but is not beholden to it in the exact same way, right? Like I feel like the D'Antoni system was revolutionary and it changed basketball, but I think this is crazy to say, but I think his own system has surpassed him at this point.
Okay.
Right? I think he's kind of almost stuck in the past on what the 8-second or less offense should be versus what it's become in today's NBA. And I think if you had kind of one of his disciples, a young disciple or a young former player of his, I might be more willing to go that route than I would be bringing in D'Antoni himself.
Yeah, I can see that. And maybe Nash is a failed head coach. So, maybe if he gets an opportunity to be a top assistant, maybe that's, that could do a lot worse.
I mean, he's a college coach at this point, right?
I don't know where he's at, to tell you the truth. But yeah, you need somebody that knows offense, definitely, I think.
And I think a guy like Nash would be a really interesting coach just for someone like Reed, right?
Yeah.
Nash had an unbelievably great 3-point shot and can hit it at any point he wanted, but he never looked for his, right? Like he would hit you with a shot if nothing else was open, but even when he drove the basketball, it was to drive and get somebody else open. So to have a coach like that to pair with a Reed Sheppard would be a very interesting pairing. I mean, there's been a lot of other really great players that have thrived in the system. What even a guy like Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
What I don't even know. Again, I don't know if these guys are interested in coaching. That's the kind of player that I'm looking for is someone who had success at a system like that. But and again, Lin's a smart guy, went to Harvard, obviously a very smart human being. I think he would be great at translating the success that he had because he wasn't an unbelievable talent, right? But he was a guy who had some things he did well and was able to do them in this system and find success. I think that's someone who could take what D'Antoni offered and translate it into today's game.
So that's going to take, I think, Ambassador Fertitta to come in and if we get an early playoff exit and tell, Ime, you're not on the hot seat, but we need to see some movement here. And I strongly suggest you hire this guy.
I don't even think it's you're not on the hot seat. I think it's, hey, we're really disappointed in what we've seen offensively. We went and got you Kevin Durant. We went and made these moves for you. We have done everything you've asked us as an organization to put you in a position to win, and this just doesn't feel like a championship quality team to me. This is a middling playoff team. I don't see, unless again Kevin Durant just goes the fuck off, a way for us to win rounds of playoff games. And I think you and I are both in agreement on that. There's another level that's just missing from this team offensively. And it's an execution thing, it's a scheme thing, it's an effort thing. Losing Steven Adams is a big deal because he covered up so many holes because he was so good on the offensive glass. You're just not the same team. And that lack of scheme is really shining through right now when you can't just clean that shit back up and get a free 2 points.
All right, Tim. Are we to that part of the night?
We can be, Scott. Let's we got a lot to talk about, so let's start giving some awards away. Who do you want to punch Pow right in the kisser?
I'm going to alter the award just a little bit for this week. I am holding him up against the wall with my fist ready, but I'm not punching him yet. And I got Nick Caserio because I'm not going to punch him yet because, hey, we've got a long off season. We can figure this thing out. But like you, I was disappointed with the return for Titus Howard. I would have thought that because what did Laramie Tunsil get you? He got you like a 4 and 2 2s or something like that, or it was pretty hefty. You can't even get a 4. You can't get you can't get a 3. And like I said, you're $9 million over the cap. So as of today, I don't see an avenue to really being in on a Linderbaum or a player like that. So, maybe he can pull a rabbit out of the hat. So I'm not punching him yet, Tim, but I'm holding him up against the wall saying, hey, bud, if you don't do something, you're getting that punch in the throat.
I think that's a good call. I was really shocked when I saw the Tyus Howard trade. I like Tyus Howard. I think he does a nice job. I think he's a team player who's, again, he's a right tackle, and he got paid as a right tackle, and he's answered the call when they've asked him to move inside, and he's done a nice job. So to me, a move like that to only get a 5th round pick, I understand there's all these other things in play. But I feel like, why did it have to happen so soon? Like, you're telling me you couldn't have held out for a little bit more. We're nowhere near the draft. There's going to be a free agency, and you're telling me teams who maybe missed out on some of the top offensive talent in free agency wouldn't have made you a move for more than a 5th. When we look back at when the Texans got Mixon, all the running backs were getting signed quickly, and we were like, what the fuck? We wanted somebody, and then the Texans traded for Mixon. So you're telling me there's not a team out there who at the start of free agency, a flurry of signings happening, they don't get a tackle. Hey, I've got Titus Howard over here for a 3rd rounder. No one would have bid on that. That to me is a little questionable. Is why did we do it today? Was there a roster bonus or something? We're past March 1st.
Yeah, I can't tell you that answer to that one, but I'm with you. And who do you got for this week?
I want to punch Walker Buehler in the face, Scott. Like, first of all, very punchable kid. But I don't know about you. I'm excited for the ABS and the challenge system this year. I think a lot of bad umpires are going to be exposed, and I'm really, really happy about that. And I think we're going to finally, I've been saying for years, the zone is the zone is the zone, right? Like, the fucking zone is the zone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Aaron Judge. It doesn't matter if you're Altuve. It doesn't matter if it's your first week in Major League Baseball. A strike is a strike. And umpires are little shits. They are emotional fucking terrorists at times, right? And they are willing to hijack fucking games and do, quite frankly, ridiculous things with the strike zone. I think you and I would both agree on that. So Walker Buehler comes out as they're asking us, every player's getting asked, what do you think about it? What do you think about the challenge system? Are you going to challenge? And his response is that, like, I don't think it's accurate. I don't think they have it lined up properly over the plate. I don't think that, and to me, it reminded me of the old SNL skit, Debbie Downer, right? Like, everybody's having a good time, and then, like, here comes in Debbie Downer. It's like, and just totally kills the fucking mood, right? Like, which is actually something really cool. We can finally, have a better understanding of the strike zone. You can challenge some of this fucking bullshit. But here comes Walker Buehler, guys. I don't think this is accurate. guys, I'd like to question the validity of the science that went into this. And quite frankly, that's a guy that you just want to punch right in the face.
Well, he's also an ex-Dodger, which is another good reason to punch him in the face. But um, I think what he's talking about, and I have heard other people say this as well, that you don't have that camera from above, so that you don't have that dimension included in that. And that's all well and good. I think what's one of two things is going to happen, Tim. Either the umpires are going to be exposed, or the pitch track system that we're watching on TV is going to be exposed. Because, when we're watching that, or I'm watching on the app, umpires blow at least one call in that bat. At least one call in that bat they blow. So either that pitch track is not accurate, or the umpires are not accurate. And I think with this review system, we're going to find out pretty damn quick.
I mean, there was an umpire, I think it was Mets Cardinals. He missed 5 straight calls to start the game. Like they literally, 5 times. And I think it's the umpire, Scott, because how long have we been told this guy's zone is this? This guy likes to give the inside corner. This guy gives high and away. And every umpire, quote unquote, has their own zone. So to me, I don't think it's the pitch track. I think it's the umpires. And I think the umpires have the strongest union in America at this point. Like there is no outward criticism of them. You never hear of any kind of discipline. You never hear of a demotion. You don't fucking hear shit about the Major League Baseball umpires in this country. So to me, they've been protected for a really long time. And I can't wait, pardon me. I can't wait for guys like all the bad ones are really gone, but there was one such as a P. Tim he went Tim something. He went off on the Astros in Texas one night where he said like this is my game, and then like proceeded to give us a shit ton of calls. But the Joe Wests of the world, the Angel Hernandezes of the world, like they're not going to be able to ruin games anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you. And I can't wait for the day when it's all computerized and we're not even challenging. We're just computer calls it.
I mean, if you want to have an umpire there for pomp and circumstance, like I'm all for it, right? Like there's going to be plays at the plate that he can call.
Home plate umpire.
Have a fucking earpiece in his ear that just says ball or strike and make the fucking call. But it doesn't need to be, let me point down to first to see if he checked his swing because he's got a better angle. Like, come on, man. We've got 15 cameras rigged everywhere. Everybody can see if he went around or not. Like, just fucking go to the camera and stop bitching about it. At the end of the day, it makes the game better. Umpires have the single-handed ability to ruin a fucking game based solely on their emotions. So the fact that you can challenge that shit now, to me, is a wonderful thing.
All right, Tim. Time for De Horse's Ass.
Yes, Scott.
Let me tell you a little story here, Tim. Back when I was in college, way back in the 1900s, I was on the newspaper staff at school, and we ran a daily. It doesn't run anymore. And our first edition was supposed to come out on Tuesday. It was supposed to run Tuesday through Friday. And we had to do this the old-fashioned way. We had to actually print out the pages, send it to the printer, and do all that shit. And so basically it was supposed to be done by 10 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock at night. First night, Tim, we ended up getting done about 4 or 5 in the morning. So that edition did not get out in the morning. It came out the next day. And so our joke was the TCU Daily Skiff, yesterday's news tomorrow. And that's what I'm thinking of when I see Ken Rosenthal, commenting about, all things Astros. Ken Rosenthal, yesterday's news tomorrow. So he's talking about, this just in. the Astros infield situation is untenable. It's I just got that in my ear just now, bringing it on to you. The Astros, and we've talked about this, Tim. We've driven it to death. We've asked the question, why can't Paredes play left? We've asked the question, hey, can we spread these guys around, give like Correa an occasional day off, give Walker an occasional day off, give Altuve an occasional day off. Let Jordan play left, maybe 2 days. There's a lot of things you could do to get, this lineup figured out. And one of the things we do know with the dimension of time, as we saw with Jeremy Pena, we think breaking his finger, although the Astros will not confirm that. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Injuries happen, and they happen more often to this team than they probably do to most because this team's getting older. Altuve's in his mid-30s. Walker's in his mid-30s. Correa's on the wrong side of 30. Yordan Alvarez, I don't think has made it through a season healthy yet. Paredes himself has been injury-prone throughout his career. So what are the odds that all those guys are going to make it through a season healthy? I would say probably slim to none. So why are we freaking out over a situation that, probably will affect your April, but by the time I guarantee it, by the time you get to Memorial Day, they'll have it figured out one way or the other. Somebody will be hurt, or they'll have found a system to get everybody playing time.
And Scott, I'm going to co-sign with you on this one for a bit too, because it's not just Rosenthal. Chandler Rome had the fucking guy on his podcast today to talk about this. Open the show with it. And I don't love Chandler Rome. I think he does a nice job, at least, of covering the team. And, as an Astros fan, there's probably not a better source of information than listening to the Beat Reporters podcast, right? So I do. But the guy spent more than 20 minutes just talking about how untenable it is, how we can't, how about we talk about the way the Astros are looking to solve it? And other than they're still shopping Paredes, and then back to, we can't do this, we can't do, there's no at bat. We look around, there's just no at bats. 20 fucking minutes, man. And I get it, it's spring training, I get it, people want content, but at the end of the day, this horse has been beat to death. You and I both agree that there is a path forward that allows all these guys to play. It's pretty easy. It's Jordan playing left and Paredes DHing, or Paredes learning to play some left field, and you platoon those two between left field and DH. Keeps everybody healthy. You can give Altuve a day off, let him DH, and if Paredes has to play a day or two of second base, you can find a way to live with that. But at the end of the day, the answer is not, Paredes sits on the bench on opening day, and if Nick Allen is in a lineup and Paredes is not, right? Like, we riot.
Yeah, no kidding. And I was joking about Nick the Stick Allen being your starting shortstop, and that was completely in jest because to me that's the nightmare scenario. He is out of options, so if he doesn't make the team, he's gone. But whatever, Tim. All right, we got some positive vibes.
Well, I have a
you have one
as well. Jurickson Profar, Scott.
Oh yeah, okay.
Has been busted for the second time for PEDs. He got popped after a nice season with the Padres in 2024. His only year with above an 800 OPS, by the way. And then serves his suspension, whatever. Plays a shortened season last year with the Atlanta Braves. Actually had a pretty nice year, Scott. Ends up hitting 245. But the OPS was actually 787 for Jurickson Profar last year. Popped again. Got him again. Another fucking PED out for the year. Just fucking go away, man. Like, if the only way that you can be a productive Major League Baseball player is that you have to take fucking PEDs, then we don't need you. Because let's look at 2023. You had a 689 OPS. 2022, 723. 2021, 649. You were 711 in 2019. You were a 501 OPS in
Woo!
2016, right? Like you were, I mean, that was in 22 games, but at the end of the day, like you've had some brief moments. You've had 1 or 2 decent years as a utility player. You fucking roided up, dropped 25 bombs. Next thing you know, you got popped. You got paid anyway because the Braves were like, it's okay. You fucking roided up again, had a decent run in your short time with the Braves, and then got popped again. Like,
As,
what
as,
are
as the GIF I sent to you, Tim, this is where we throw back our heads and laugh.
I mean, I think for some guys it's profitable to do it one time, right? Like the Melky Cabreras of the world. Like
uh,
Melky got like a pretty long-term deal off of his one steroided season, and then he never got popped again, and everybody forgets about it. But when you get popped 2 years in a row, and
and
come
if you
on.
remember, he was the #1 overall prospect in baseball when he was in the Rangers system. I don't know
I
if
mean,
you remember.
he's a toolsy guy. He can play a lot of positions. He's Dubon, right? Like coming up, that's who he is. He can play any infield. He can play the outfield, and it just never developed offensively for him until he went into this clinic where they had a Balco at the fucking front entrance of it. Next thing you know,
Remember that steroids episode of South Park?
yeah.
Tell me.
Where Jesus takes steroids to beat the shit out of everybody, to
Oh,
beat the shit out of people.
no, this was the Special Olympics episode where Jimmy
Oh.
Homer, takes it to in order to. I'm just going to use it as a performance enhancer. Whatever you say, Jimmy. Whatever you say.
No, I do think, yeah, just fucking go away. I hope we don't see you anymore. The original intent of the horse's ass was guys that we don't want to be around anymore.
Oh, yeah.
To me, Yerkes and Profar, you're done.
All right. He can play on the same team as Emmanuel Clase.
Hey, they can fucking play some pinochle in the corner and bet on it.
All right, Tim. It's time. I think it's time for good vibes.
I'm always in favor of some good vibes. Let's tip a cap. Who do you have as your tip of the cap this week?
We did this earlier, but I want to say this in an official way. Whenever we said that, we didn't think Reed Sheppard had ever hit a 3, he came out and he's basically hit 40+% of his 3s this year. When we came out, even in the last month, and we said, Reed Sheppard can't play the point. He's come out and he's done a decent job. I mean, he's not going to make anybody forget Steve Nash or John Stockton, but he's functional. And so every time we say that Reed Sheppard can't do something, he seems to turn around and seems to find a way to do it. So I guess the next step is I'm just going to say, Reed, you can't play defense at all. You're terrible. I don't even know what you're doing out there. You only get 6 steals. Come on, bud. You got to do better than that. 2 block shots, man. Akeem averaged 3 a game. Come on, dude. You can do better than 2. So that's what I got is that, we have continually doubted him, Tim. And so it's time to eat some crow, at least on my part, and say, like, we underestimated him.
I couldn't agree more with that. I made it a segment. I apologized on there earlier, so I think I'm in agreement with you on that one. I'm going to tip my cap, Scott, to Mike Burrows. I know it's early, but to me, this guy looks like another one of those the Astros found a guy candidates. 2 games so far, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 6 Ks, 2 walks. He's faced 19 batters, and again, he's only allowed 2 hits. To me, this looks like a guy that you could pencil in every 5 days, going to give you 180 innings, 3.5, 4 ERA, win 10, 12, 13 ball games for you. But I just want to tip my cap to his approach of coming to a new team, embracing what the Astros do, knowing that they have a success rate of making moves for guys and getting them here and making them better. And it seems to me like he's fully embraced that. And I'm excited for him this season, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd expect 180 innings because I think he had 94 this last year. But I think 150 is not outside the realm of possibility. And yeah, I'm with you. I think what I love about this organization, they do a lot of things that piss us off. But the one thing I think they do well is they take guys and they sit there and say, hey, guys are hitting 400 off this pitch. Stop throwing this pitch. Or, hey, they're hitting 150 when you throw this pitch in this location. Throw it here. Okay, yeah. And guys, seem to grasp it. So not only do they have the information, but they seem to be doing a really good job of relaying that information in a way that pitchers understand. I mean, that was the one thing that Kikuchi said in his interview with the Japanese newspapers. That the Astros do a really great job of communicating, the scouting report. And so, but you're right. The first step is you have to be coachable, and he is.
Absolutely, Scott. All right, it is that time to right or wrong, if I may, to call an opportunity to speak truth to power, to let everybody know who was our scumbag of the week. Scott, who do you have this week?
I have a Sirius XM radio disc jockey, Andy Gresh. I was, sitting around Saturday minding my own business. I don't listen to local sports radio because there is no sports on the weekend. It's usually like the sport of fishing, where you have ads like,
They pay to be there.
Well, you have got Skeeter here. I'm out on the boat. I don't know whether I'm drunk, dead, or bored out of my fucking mind.
They pay those stations to be on air. They're promotions.
Bored out of my fucking mind. And when that happens, I lose control of my bowels. Thank God I have whoops, I crap my pants. I can stay on that boat for hours, drink my beer, and just poop my pants. But but all seriously, I listen to Mad Dog Radio. Usually it's pretty good.
Ugh.
But what kills me is that this guy comes out, and apparently in the UFL, they are experimenting with a couple of rules changes. Now let's see what you think of this, Tim. So they're experimenting with making a 60-plus yard field goal worth 4 points.
Okay.
And having a 3-point conversion from the 8-yard line.
No. Out on that, in on something for a longer field goal, maybe.
And so the calls came in, and they were predictable because they're right. Eventually, if you make that rules change, teams are going to figure out the analytics behind it, and they're going to make it work. Now, I agree there's going to be limited, it's not like, we're driving it like we're driving like nobody's business. Oh, we're on the 50. All right, it's time. All right, come on, Kaimi, get out of here, kick your 67-yard field goal, get us 4 points. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But teams are going to figure out a sweet spot because they do it in every sport. Back in the the good old days of the NBA, and I use that term, in jest, you used to see a lot of 18 and 20 footers. And teams slowly figured out that the 18, 20 footer was the least efficient shot in basketball. So you don't see it anymore. You see maybe some, 10 to 15 footers. You see layups, you see post moves, and you see threes, and you see dunks, because that's efficient. And there's some people who sit there and say, well, that makes basketball less watchable. Well, maybe. And so in the NFL, it's the same thing. We've complained about the fact that, like the Texans keep going forward at 4th and goal whenever they can't move the ball because the analytics seem to say so. But this is and Andy Gresh just went on this absolute tirade against analytics nerds. Well, I'm proud to say I'm an analytics nerd. And I actually called him in. I said, this is what I told him, because I was actually fairly measured. And I said, you're mad at the wrong people. If I'm an analytics nerd, my job is to give you information. If you're the manager, if you're the head coach, your job is to figure out, how am I going to use this information? Whether or not you're going to use this information. We know Dusty probably didn't use analytics nearly as much. He liked to go with the gut. D'Amico, might be a mixture. Maybe sometimes he uses the analytics, maybe sometimes he doesn't. I don't know if Ime's, he probably looks at it from defensive matchup standpoint. He probably uses that information. But to me, a stat person's job is to give the best information he or she can to the head coach, and then the head coach gets to decide. So if you're mad at your team continually going for it on fourth down, like your Campbell from Detroit, don't get mad at the stat geek that's throwing it out there. You got to get mad at the coach for continually making that stupid decision. And if you're mad, and let's say Nick Allen's up, Tim. It's a 3-3 game in the eighth inning, and you got a runner at second and nobody out. What are you doing with Nick Allen?
Ask him to lay down a bunt or pinch hitting.
Yeah, you're asking him to lay down a bunt. The analytics will say you never do that. But see, to me as a manager, you have to know, well, God, this hitter sucks. I mean, they used to do that with Adam Everett all the time. I remember he used to hit second, and like he would average like a sacrifice bunt a game for a while there.
Anytime Biggio got on, it was just let's just move over.
Move over. The thing is that you have to know your players, you have to know your team. You do have to know the numbers, but you also have to know, the moment. If you're down 6-3 in the eighth inning, you're not sacrifice bunting. That's a stupid move. So it's always situational dependent. I think managers and head coaches know that. But you still need, you need stat geeks to give you that information, because, you need information for the scouting reports. You need information, just, for that one play, maybe late in the game, if you're a football team and you go like, hey, we noticed that the defense tends to do this in this situation. Thank God for that information. We can run this play. I mean, that's what your stat geeks are there for.
That's a good call, Scott. I'm not a fan of those people getting called out either. I would like to nominate the Texas Rangers, Scott.
Always a good choice.
Huh?
Always a good choice.
I agree. I mean, obviously, there's a long-standing hatred for the Rangers going back to 2017 when they wouldn't trade with us. But this one specifically, they moved a statue of a Texas Ranger specifically who stood by, and there's a famous picture of it as there was a lynching in Texas. And this statue was removed from the airport in 2020 after a public outcry and a public push, just based on the history of this particular Ranger and this statue. And it's found a new home, Scott. It's at the Rangers ballpark. And, if there's one team that you can count on to do the wrong thing socially, morally, whatever, it's the Rangers. 31 of 32 teams have a pride night, Scott. The only one that doesn't, Texas Rangers. In fact, teams purposely schedule their pride night for nights that the Rangers are in town just to fuck with them. But it's just frustrating as it's just like you have a MAGA owner who's just like, I'm gonna fucking piss people off. Fuck them. I'm gonna do what I want. And, just put it in there. And at the end of the day, this is a stadium that I'm pretty sure had public tax funds that went into helping build it. And here you go. And you get to just do shit like that.
Keeping it classy, Tim. Keeping it classy. Could you imagine if the Astros threw up like, here's our statue to Roberto Osuna? Sean Chacon.
Texas is almost as bad. Like the United States is pretty bad about their founding fathers and treating them like gods. But like the Texas Rangers in this state, we've come to like glorify them again. And we forget that there was a time that they were so unpopular that they had to literally make Walker Texas Ranger in order for people to be like, oh, okay, I'm cool with the Texas Rangers again. Like they were a very unpopular police force. They did a lot of just unscrupulous things, including murdering people of Hispanic and Black descent and stealing their land and giving it to white people. The King Ranch in Texas is built on stolen land that the Texas Rangers helped steal. But yeah, let's put a fucking stat. You already named your fucking ball club after them. So, I mean, it is what it is, Scott.
Hey, but as a counterpoint, Boomhauer is a Texas Ranger.
No, he was not.
I thought he was a Texas Ranger. I was pretty sure that he was.
I don't remember any episode where Boomhauer was a Texas Ranger, but
Because it wasn't
I
in the new reboot, because he was retired
no,
by then.
he was a handyman in the reboot. He
Yeah,
had the app.
yeah, that's right. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember him as a Texas Ranger.
All right. So, are do we have a special comment in us?
We can do a short one, Scott.
So I made my Lenten promise. So I'm just going to ask you. I'm gonna say it this way, Tim. Would you agree with the statement that a majority of Americans are generally not happy with this administration overall?
I'd say so.
Okay. Would you agree that there is a very vocal group of people that are not happy with this administration?
Yeah.
Would you agree that other countries should be worried about this administration?
Yeah.
So, if another country were to just take out the current administration, just kill them, would they be viewed well by Americans?
Um, I'm. I don't want to answer that. I mean, you and I both know the answer to that question, but I don't want to. I don't want to say that out
Well,
loud.
by a majority of people. I'm not talking about us. I'm just talking about by a majority of people. Do you think a majority of people said like, yeah, I like that another country came in and took out our leaders?
Probably not.
So I'm still struggling to figure this out, because this administration is certainly not the first one to do this. We've been doing this really since, if you want to be conservative, since the 40s, where we have a regime that we don't like, and we figure, well, the people in that country aren't happy, so we're just going to take out the regime and we're going to be seen as liberators. When has that ever happened, Tim?
And also, while he's doing it, he's posting Tupac lyrics along the way as his. He literally has posted, "We got to make a change. It's time for us as a people to start making some changes. Let's change the way we eat. Let's change the way we live, and let's change the way we treat each other. You see, the old way it wasn't working, so it's up to us to do what we got to do. Survive. Thank you for attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump." That is
Well,
a fucking Tupac lyric from the song Changes. I
well,
see
now
no changes. All I see is racist faces. Misplaced hate makes disgrace for races. I literally can go on. Like, that's my favorite Tupac song. Donald Trump is quoting that as he fucking is bombing and killing people in other countries. The changes he wants to make are fucking regime changes.
well, that, and because the thing is what, and what these idiots don't seem to understand is that, yeah, you can have smart bombs, sure, but you can't just kill just the leader. They wiped out an elementary school of girls, Tim. Do you think the people in Iran are like, yay, they killed hundreds of girls. Woohoo, thank you, America. Thank you, Israel. I just, I don't get it. And the whole idea that, and I love this, well, we obliterated their nuclear program in June. Help me out, Tim. What does the word obliterated mean?
Destroyed.
So if their nuclear program was destroyed, why would we be worried about it now?
Because we are part of an organization that lies their asses off on a regular basis.
Well, I love it. Did you see what? And I love this guy because he's not our leader. That Oklahoma senator with two names. God, what's his name? It's like Mark Kelly or something like Mark Kelly Biff or whatever. And he's like, well, it's like a bone, and you shatter the bone, you can put like a piece of metal in there and you can walk. So that their nuclear programs like that. Yeah, we obliterate it. Yeah, but when you obliterate a bone, you just stick in a piece of metal and it's all fine. It's like, no, dude, when you obliterate a bone, like you made them a peg leg. That's what you've done. There is no, I'm just going to throw in a piece of metal and this guy's going to walk around and run just like he used to. I mean, they can't even get their metaphor straight. But yeah, I mean, there's no way this thing's going to be over in a matter of weeks or months. We're going to be there for years. And did you see, who the leader of Iran is now?
Son.
Yeah.
Was originally supposed to be the leader of Iran in a succession plan. There's pre-chosen leader.
So what exactly did you do?
Nothing. I mean, Iran was much better off before the United States ever got involved, even in like the 60s and 70s. They were becoming progressive, and they nationalized their oil rights. And next thing you know, we're like, that's not going to work. And the CIA got involved and installed a coup, and now here we are.
So when you were a young kid, Tim, did you ever stomp on an ant pile?
Not on purpose. But I
Um,
mean, it's definitely like you stepped into one walking and you're like, oh fuck. Ah.
and this is what I want to sit there and say. And how did that work out for us? Usually,
Not great.
well, great. That's what you're basically doing is you're stomping in an ant pile. You're killing a few ants, but you're just managing to piss them off. And that's what's going to end up happening. And so, and you've spent the last year pissing off your allies, kind of throwing tariffs at them, which operate as a boomerang that kind of, hits you in the nuts, on the way back around. But why are they going to join in? What incentive do they have to join in with your fight? It's the opposite. I mean, one of the things I will say about the older Bush is when he attacked Iraq the first time, I mean, there was like over 90 countries involved in that effort.
Yeah, there's a coalition.
Not nearly as many when Junior did it because, it was more, we understood it was bullshit. But you'll love this, Tim. Do you know how we found out quotes that there were WMDs in Iraq?
Which the first time?
Yeah,
We're not.
Well, no, but what intelligence we were using for that?
Oh, it was Iran.
It was Israeli intelligence.
Oh, it was Israeli, yeah.
And so now we're finding out Iran's working on a weapon. You know whose intelligence we're using?
Israel.
Yep. Gee.
Yep. I how I feel about Israel. I'm someone who literally had great grandparents who survived the Holocaust, who had been in camps with numbers on their arms, and I am anti-Israel. So, not afraid to say it. I think I'm pro-Jewish people, but I am anti-fucking Israel, and I pretty strong in that belief. But we're gonna end it there, Scott. I think that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but that's what we've got for today. I appreciate everybody who joined us, and we'll see you next time on Born on the Bayou Sports.